Hello, I'm Cathy.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Ola and welcome to Luna Bird Book Club. How do you do?
At the start of the year, we filmed a video setting some reading goals for 2025. And as we are now roughly halfway through the year, we thought we would do a little review of how we're getting on.
Are we both filled with dread about this?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't had the most productive reading year. Everything has seemed a little bit crazy in my life.
I don't know who I thought I was when I set my reading goals this year.
Were you feeling a bit aspirational?
Yeah,
I'm just going to completely change my personality for this year's reading goal.
Yeah, I feel like the lifestyle that would have gone well with those reading goals is nothing like my current lifestyle. So I don't know what I was thinking. You go first.
Okay, my first reading goal. Now, unofficially, obviously, I want to read 52 books, but that wasn't a reading goal. And it's good that it wasn't, because I'm nowhere near that. How many have I read? Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've read 12 books. My first reading goal, because that wasn't my reading goal, was to do an author A to Z of female writers.
Yeah.
Which is where I read a book written by someone whose surname begins with an A or a H or a P, and I've got to get through the whole alphabet.
That sounds like such a fun challenge.
It was a fun challenge. I forgot that it was my challenge. I was rewatching our goal video before I came, and I was like, that was my reading goal? So far, I have read a book by someone whose surname is L, a play S, a book C, and another play R, and then I'm halfway through an audiobook for B.
Okay.
So that's 4 letters, definitely, and 1 B. And I'm also reading like a collection, which has lots of female writers in it, but that can't count because there's no specific
single
name
author
on the cover. And it's not even like compiled by this specific person, it's compiled by a society. That goal isn't going amazingly, but I think now that I've remembered that I said I would do that, once I get home, I'm going to reorganise my bookshelf so that all my qualifying books are at the front.
Yeah.
Or near the top, whatever. And then I can be more direct in doing that. I don't feel too intimidated by that goal right now.
Okay.
Whereas last year when we did our recap, I was...
You were not feeling
I was
good.
flailing in the water. What about you?
Okay, I think it's my turn to flail in the water. Mm-hmm. So I think my first reading goal was to learn a poem a month to be able to recite.
Have you done any?
No, I think I spent half an hour with Ulysses by Tennyson, which is one of my favourite poems, and I recited it out loud to myself about 6-7 times in January.
Nice.
And that's it. That is the sum of what I've done towards that reading goal. And I just thought, I don't have time to learn poems at the moment.
Maybe you could learn short poems.
I could have picked shorter poems.
Mm.
I don't
Make poems.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the nice thing is, like, we read a poem a night with Ola, or at the moment, Ola, because we've finished all of her poetry books, now Ola is just making up a poem every evening. Ola was doing great with a poetry reading goal. And not so much. So I'm nowhere with that goal, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Do you want the bag of shame?
I'll have the bag of shame.
It does say Rachel's bag of shame.
It's your bag, but it's my shame.
It's your shame. Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so I am not going to do that goal.
Uh-huh. You're retiring. Are you replacing it with a different goal? Or just saying
yeah, I think I need to redirect my reading energies. So I did have in mind what I wanted to redirect to, and now I've completely forgotten, which again isn't a great sign. No, I've no plan.
That's all right.
I don't have a plan. No, actually, no. You know what? I'm redirecting that reading goal because that's just something I don't want to do. I thought I did. I thought I wanted to be a studious poetry
Is it
girl.
that you don't want to learn the poems, that you don't want to read the poems?
I think I don't want to put the energy into finding poems to love and then learn.
Okay.
There's a bit of it. When I sat down and I read Ulysses and I read it out loud a few times, I did enjoy that experience. But then I think I did read a poetry book earlier in the year, and honestly, I did not like many of the poems in there. And it reminded me that what I think I enjoy in poetry and what my experience actually is of reading poetry isn't quite the same. Maybe in the future I will come back to poetry and it'll all connect again. But this year it's not doing. So maybe instead my reading goal needs to lean into what I do want to do. I'm changing this reading goal because I just wasn't connected with poetry, wasn't doing that. I am going to find books that I love. That's my reading goal. You're like, that's what you should be doing anyway.
How's that a goal?
Why don't you just change it to, instead of reciting, maybe you could just read some of your books aloud. Like, have like a set, like 15 minutes a day where you just read aloud from whatever book you're reading. Maybe not every day, but...
Yes.
And then you're still connecting the written word to the spoken word.
Oh, I like that, yeah. I'm changing the reading goal to reading out loud once a week.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
To connect with the poetry and creativity in writing. I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd be lost without you.
My second reading goal was to read more non-fiction. Now, last year I think I'd said I read 4 non-fiction books. It might actually have been less, I can't remember. This year so far, let me pick up my list, let me consult. I'm currently in the middle of 2 non-fiction books. That's not a complete failure, is it? They're in
your radar.
currently reading.
Yeah.
That's all right.
And that's all we're saying on the matter.
So we'll say on the matter. Come back in December and see if I still feel that way.
Okay, my second reading goal was to start a commonplace book where you write down quotes and thoughts about your reading and things you're learning.
Did you do anything?
No, what I did was I looked at all my notebooks that I have and all my different journals, because I have about, 10 different journals for 10 different purposes on the go.
She's shown them on the channel. Go and watch the video.
Yeah, had a bit of like an epiphany.
Videos.
I had a bit of an epiphany of why am I starting another notebook for another thing? So I did a whole vlog about it to help me process that. And I have since got rid of a few notebooks. I finished one today.
Well done.
Well done, me.
Well done.
So although I do still have quite a few notebooks dedicated to different things, I do still want to start a commonplace book because I think it will be fun and interesting.
And now that you've got rid of some journals, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, so I think...
And you've still got plenty of time in the year to do so.
Yeah, because my goal was to start one. So as long as I start one before December, that's fine. I think I just need to come up with a system, because I'm also realising I feel busy and a bit harassed all the time. And I don't have much time for just sitting and journaling prettily, or to be like, oh, I'm reading this book, that's a really good thought. I'm now going to go get my journal and write it down. That's not going to happen. So I need to come up with my mind of maybe if
Have it with you when you're reading.
Oh, yes, that would be sensible. I was going to take a photo of my phone and then go do it later. Maybe that was better. But then I'll always have to carry this journal around. So I need to...
Well, if it's just a little journal, it's all right, isn't it?
Oh,
do you have any little journals?
Yeah, I do have some little journals.
Maybe just make it a little journal.
Maybe that.
To start with.
Yeah.
And then when you're back in the habit and you filled the little journal...
Then I can move to a bigger journal.
You can move to a bigger journal.
That would work. Gosh.
Or you can take photos, that's fine too.
Yes. So yeah, I need to think about how it's going to work and how I want to do it. But I still want to do it, I just haven't started it yet.
Okay.
So maybe I don't need a bag of shame, because I've done some preparation for it.
Course. Yeah.
But I haven't started it.
But you always need the bag of shame.
Oh, this says I need the bag of shame anyway. Not yet.
I am the owner of the bag of shame. I'm overruling Orla's criticisms.
What was your next one?
My next one was kind of wishy-washy in that I wanted to... So last year we swapped reading habits, and I was allowed to DNF if I wanted to. Now I didn't during the period because it was just a short period, but I was carrying that goal forward this year into allowing myself more freedom in what I'm reading. Now I don't think I've DNF'd anything that I started, but I went through the books that I own and I got rid of some books that I knew I was never going to actively read. They were just sitting on my TBR looking at me glaring.
Yeah.
And just, giving myself a bit more time to enjoy the act of reading instead of making it a chore. Now, I haven't done a lot of reading this year. As I said, it's been a little bit
Yeah.
Lots of things have happened this year for me. I mean, I'd forgotten all of my reading goals, so I had forgotten that I'd given myself that freedom. But I feel like I'm succeeding at that because I'm not forcing myself to. I'm not chaining myself to a chair and saying you must read this book for an hour. I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah. Like, you're so on it. You're so on it, even though you forgot what your reading goals were.
Well done, January Rachel. You picked goals that were not as overwhelming as last year. But my goal last year was to not buy any books, and I haven't done that this year. So.
Yeah.
Was it to not buy any books?
Or was it to
reduce my TBR so that I could buy Wind and Truth?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but that
I didn't do that, and I still bought Wind and Truth. So I'm making up for it this year.
And this year you have reduced your TBR by unholding a load.
Yeah.
And not adding to it. And reading
a
books.
little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit. What was your third goal, Cathy?
My third goal was to do a deep dive on the author George Eliot. And then you bought me one of her books. And I read the opening chapter and didn't understand every fifth word that she used in it. And I think partially because she was describing a church building in some detail and used quite a lot of specific church words, so that might have been why.
Churchy words.
And then I read a couple of articles about her life, and then I just didn't want to read anymore. Just didn't.
Well, you did some stuff, so that isn't...
Yeah, so I looked into it, and maybe I was just in a grumpy mood and haven't given her a fair shot, because I do that sometimes. I just get grumpy and stubborn.
Yeah, you do that sometimes. You just get grumpy and
As my daughter will attest. So that's another goal that I have given up on, because I think to do an author deep dive, you have to be really fascinated by the person. And I thought I was going to be fascinated by George Eliot, and instead, I just wasn't.
Do you think the issue was that you put authors in your hat that you weren't? Did you know anything about George Eliot going in?
I knew a little bit, but I didn't know loads. I knew enough to intrigue me, but then when I looked a bit further into it, I just wasn't as such. But yeah, I did. I put authors that I knew little about in the hopes of, like, it'd be fun to go in blind. But then it wasn't fun to go in blind.
Okay, maybe you could, because I imagine you'll want to do an author deep dive again. I mean, maybe you could just pick someone, like, choose a specific author, and you're like, I want to read about this author. But maybe if you do have a hat next time, you could maybe read one article about all of them,
and then
be like, I'm intrigued. Has reading this article made me even more intrigued? Or
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I need to either not pick random ones or pick somebody whose writing I really get on with and then want to lean into more. So I'm scrapping the deep dive goals.
What are you changing it to?
I am changing it to, because I think I still would like to learn, I'm going to set my goal is to go through The Artist's Way, which I've kind of already talked about, and I have here. Let me grab it.
You're standing on the bag of shame!
Bag of shame.
Bag of shame, that's illegal.
So I'm replacing that goal, because I still want to learn, by going through The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I'm planning on starting it properly next week, which is like a creative workshop to connect more to your creativity and kind of reclaim some of, like, your childlike fun in being creative. That's about as much as I know about it. But I quite like the idea of doing something deliberate to increase my knowledge and creativity.
I need to sneeze. Have I swallowed this? I think I've swallowed the sneeze. Please continue. Or was that all you were going to say?
That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, I'm changing that goal, not an author deep dive. Instead, I'm going to reconnect to my own creativity by going through The Artist's Way.
I like that. So your goals have changed.
My goals have changed. I am still going to start a commonplace book. Instead of learning a poem a month, I'm going to try and read out loud once a week. And instead of doing an author deep dive, I'm going to connect to my own creativity by going through this little Artist's Way and doing some creative writing workshops.
You're doing an author deep dive, but you're the author.
I'm the author. Let's make it about me.
And mine haven't changed. I'm still aiming to complete all of mine. And whether I do or not, it's chill. Because one of them is be more chill.
Be more chill. So yours are be more chill, read
More non-fiction
more non-fiction,
and an A to Z of
Chill.
women.
an A to Z of women authors and writers.
Yep.
So those are our reading goals for 2025. We're kind of having a little bit of I'm having a reset.
That's all right.
You're having a reminder
Yeah, absolutely.
of what you're doing.
Well, they're goals, aren't they? They're not. What's the other word?
Burdens?
No,
Sentences?
Like you don't have to do them.
No, they're optional.
Yeah,
It's all fun.
they're goals. They're not
Fun.
tasks.
Yes. And they're meant to be fun. And I think mine will be fun now that I've course corrected. I just think I thought I was going to be a very reflective, meditative person this year. And I think I forgot that. Like, I've got a new job and stuff like that. If you have any reading goals, let us know in the comments and let us know how you're doing. Yeah.
Are you giving up? Are you changing? Are you powering through?
It's all good.
It's all chill here.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.
I thought I could smell fire for a second then.
That's just because I'm so hot.